We want to start with the letter from Raleigh, so I can get it out of the way. We're not going to do anything with the attorneys today, but we have another person to consider here. Stephanie had declined. So we have, Dear County Council, I've been made aware of the opening of the position of County Council Attorney. Scott County is my home. It is where my wife and I choose to raise our sons. I have my law office in Scott County where I've practiced law for 20 years. I am very interested in the county attorney position. I was attorney for the city of Austin for 6 years. I have served on the Scott County Economic Development Board and was a member of the County Council for 2 years. Thank you for your consideration, Raleigh Campbell.
Do you know when we will make a motion on that to put someone in that position?
Well, do we want to try to get them both here and ask questions? Or do we just want to see letters from them, John?
I did.
I don't know if you guys even want to consider it. Our last meeting, we discussed possibly sharing an attorney.
We discussed that too.
Maybe it's a good idea, maybe not. I think we're open to it.
The only concern I have with that is if we do need one separate from you, now we're trying to hire somebody that does not have any idea, has no knowledge of us as a council and what we do.
Well,
So
I'm
that's,
okay
and that's
either-
my concern.
I'm okay either way. We just discussed it and we're open, so.
A question, John, when you discussed that, because I'm sure the salary for your attorney is probably more than ours, would we split that, or would we continue to pay what we normally pay?
We would have to maybe have a little get together and decide that. In the past, and Tammy would know better than I do, I don't think the council paid anything, did they, Tammy?
It's all out of county general. So, right, Teresa? So it's not it's gonna be moved, whether it's in the council's budget or in the commissioner's budget, it's still tied to the county general rate. So whether, just like a lot of things are budgeted through the commissioner's portion of the county general's budget. So it's pretty much a moot point. It's just where where the money's placed,
Yeah,
basically in the budget.
I'm good with that, and it's whatever the board wants.
Yeah, we're open. We're just throwing that out.
Yeah.
Did we have any more letters besides Raleigh's come in?
And did we,
I'm
the other,
having Zach send a letter so you guys have it in front of you.
I don't see us having a need for an attorney to come and sit here at our meetings every day. And whoever we get's gonna probably, what you just said, is gonna fit. They aren't gonna be well-versed in county council operations. What I'd like to see is the commissioners hire, not an attorney for the commissioners, hire a county attorney. And have in your agreement with whoever you hire that they would accept requests from the council on special occasions where we had a need for an attorney's opinion, that we could get it from the, and you pay the salary just like you normally do. And that's what I'd like to see.
yeah, I'm open to, what,
We hire a county attorney and we have access to it when we need it, which would be rare.
It's okay with me, but
So that's my,
it's been tossed out there. You guys discuss it.
I know you probably didn't intend for that to be
So
a
isn't the reason that we
discussion today,
split,
but
No, I mean, we might as well, because
isn't the reason that we split and hired two attorneys before is because there was a conflict between the commissioners and the council?
Oh, I'm sure that's what.
So my
Ben,
question-
How many years ago?
I don't,
But
to be, go ahead and finish.
So my question is hopefully it'll never happen, but if we hire one attorney, then who would get access to that attorney if we have
All
to?
of us.
No, if we have to go,
if there's a conflict.
if there's a conflict.
We hire an outside
And
and
and then again, that's my
We
point, the
could probably
person that
go
we hire from
Wagner.
outside will have no clue
We
what we're
could go to
talking
Wagner
about.
Showing.
I'm sorry.
you'd have
We could
to inform
Wagner,
them,
Sheila,
just like-
yeah.
We could go with them.
Yeah.
I was here when we first hired an attorney, and it wasn't no conflict. What it was is,
Well, we kind of,
it's kind
time,
of
we
why
never had an
not?
attorney.
Why not? He was gonna do it for, at the time, I believe, just for, maybe health insurance or something.
Anyway,
When I
that's my
started.
opinion.
Have
Yeah,
some
you
kind
guys
of-
can toss that around, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm good with either way.
Options, we have options.
We do.
Yeah.
You do.
we have options, that's good.
Okay.
And if you don't care before we get started, I went through the health department down there and got my shot. I tell you what, and it was probably 3 degrees or something. I tell you, they just done such a super job. They're out there bundled up, trying to stay warm out in that cold all day. I mean, you know, I just thought that was amazing that day.
Thank you. I'm glad you had a good experience.
Yeah.
There were lots of good
It was
experiences.
like our first Georgia State to be out, be happy to be outside.
I take my second one Friday and it'll probably be sunny, so.
I've had both of them very smooth both times.
It was.
Very smooth
I mean,
both times.
it was great, it really was.
All right, old business, coroner, additional appropriation. We need to talk this over.
All right, Mr. Redevelopment, do you want to speak to that again?
You're better than I am, Dan.
Yeah, they'll defer to me on this one, I guess.
I'll come up here and sit by you.
Sure. To support me. Redevelopment Commission met, was a week ago Friday, John?
Yes.
And several things were on the table to consider. And the most looming question that Karen Arland, our consultant, asked is, are you doing this from a redevelopment perspective? Or are you doing it from a, let's just say, the council of commissioners some hassle perspective? Because obviously the redevelopment commission serves as the commissioners and the appropriation body, the fiscal body, for the deferred tax dollars that come from the northern TIF district, which is where Austin Tri-Hawk sits, and the farm ground that we lease out and whatnot up there. So the biggest question as a redevelopment is, does this fit the plan or does it not fit the plan? And so when they posed the questions regarding the coroner's office, recently the plan was modified for that northern TIF district plan to include infrastructure support for our emergency services in the county, which obviously the coroner could fit underneath that infrastructure of emergency services. So if it is for the betterment of the county and for the infrastructure support, then obviously, yes, the redevelopment could consider funding the coroner's building, facility, or whatever you want to call it. There was a couple other things, we'll probably get to that later in the meeting, but she did say, in keeping, if that is your reasoning for this, rather than just, I can't find out where to pay for this from somewhere else, and you're coming to the redevelopment trying to bail out, that's different. But I think the redevelopment commission did see that it was an infrastructure for the county. It was part of that support service, just like they had supported volunteer fire departments and EMS. Some at-need, that were at-risk children, they had, as part of the infrastructure for the county and the culture building, they had supported the refuge project. So it was in line with all that, and the redevelopment commission unanimously agreed to, if there was a lease agreement, i.e. binding contract in place, that they would definitely advertise and consider appropriation for the coroner's facility establishment, so.
And where would that leave our responsibility? No,
It would mean you wouldn't have to pay for it.
You would not have to find the funding in the funds that you're over.
Well,
Okay.
I think that we're not doing it just because we don't want to pay for it or can't, I mean, I think it's definitely an infrastructure issue.
Yes.
My question is, how, are we anywhere with a contract or a lease, or
That would be, I
are
don't,
we?
Mike's working on that, and I don't have an answer to how far along he is on.
well, do we need a motion to accept or deny some responsibility for this, or is this just information?
I'll let Teresa speak to
I
that,
don't
because
think
how many
we need
times
to
it
do
can be
anything.
considered after advertisement.
I would have to advertise it again after today if you table it.
Could,
We don't need to do anything if funding is from
I don't
other
think so,
source.
that's up to you, huh?
yeah, my question's with Raymond Square. I mean, we don't have to do anything.
I don't.
Well, they just wanted to know our answer, so I say absolutely, it is infrastructure and making our county better, because it's gonna help the hospital if they need to put
Yeah.
somebody in there till the funeral home can get to them.
Do we need to make it official that that's how we deal or something.
Should we write them a
I
letter
don't think.
or
we
I
could
can
write
go to
them
the
a
meeting?
letter, but We
I-
had
When's
nothing.
their meeting?
I can only tell you the commissioners have approved the hospital. The redevelopment has approved the money.
Pending the,
And it's-
Well, we just need an agreement.
Wait, with the lease agreement. If we don't get the lease agreement, nothing's gonna happen.
so can we, if we don't get a lease agreement or if they deny it, then can we come back for a special session? Because that, it needs
I
to
think we have
happen. It needs to get resolved one way or the other.
And that's the main reason I went ahead and pursued this at the hospital. It wasn't necessarily my favorite thing to do either, but I think it's the quickest thing to do to get them set up
Mhm.
and get it moving.
I think this is totally up to the commissioners, that we don't have anything to do with this since
If the money's there.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about that lease. If the hospital doesn't do it, I don't wanna keep waiting for our next meeting and then, you know what I mean? It needs
It
to
would-
be,
And it would, you know, we've used
It needs
different
to be
words on this,
resolved.
interlocal agreement, contract, different words. But
That-
we want something besides that MOU,
right,
Mhm.
which is very vague.
yeah.
You know, something more concrete that says, and I would be happy for myself if it was something from the CEO that put it on paper, saying we will go this direction.
Yeah, as long as it has the hospital's name on it, so,
Yeah.
like we said, if they did sell, then we're not stuck
Well,
And
yeah.
again, quoting statute
not being able to use it.
loosely, if it's public property, if it's entity owned or leased. So again, I really feel, and the state suggested a lease agreement whenever I contacted State Board of Accounts, because that's where you guys left it with me the last time.
Right.
And, that it's okay. She said, relationships exist all over the state between entities and a government unit. But it has to be clearly defined, and it has to be, the parameters are set
Right.
for what happens with the personal property disposal. What are we obligated to, what are they obligated
Yeah.
to?
Right.
Because when you're sharing a space, you've got maintenance, you've got fixtures, you've got light bulbs, you've got cleaning, custodial things. I mean,
If
there's a
something
lot of
breaks,
things.
who fixes it? That's what we want to know.
Right.
Right.
And if they wanna, even though the hospital has you know, they pay all the utilities for everything, they could possibly, if they wanted to, charge us so much a month for utilities. And I don't know if I would object to that, but we need to have it
We need
set
to
up
have it in
where we
writing.
know where we are.
Right,
Yep.
I agree.
Well,
Okay.
I agree with you, it needs to be settled, we've got a problem, we need to handle it. They're doing it right now, we don't have,
No, I
we
know,
don't have any action to take.
right, I want it put out there that if there's no lease, that we come back immediately and we figure this out, because then it's back on our laps, because it needs to
The
be.
big question I'm seeing is how long is it gonna take to get this lease done?
Right.
And I don't have a real answer for you that right now. I know I've discussed it with the chairman, and I think we're working on it.
Okay.
You may wanna discuss it with him.
And I'm not trying to throw redevelopment commission under the bus again, so to speak, but if the project morphs from can't secure a lease agreement, hospital won't commit or whatever it is, and they can't proceed down their path, then if whatever the commissioners come up with as Plan B, then it could also be proposed to redevelopment.
Yeah.
Because if they're allowed to fund it one way, they'd be allowed to fund it from a different project perspective. So again, whether your board actually has to deal with it or not is still yet to be determined, depending on a lot of factors. So
I'm
Teresa,
like-
do you need them to make a
I'm like
motion
whoever
to,
says, I wanna get it done. We're in our third month
Well,
now,
it
don't
needs
have an
to
office for this.
defer to redevelopment?
Handle it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it over, quicker the better. Yeah.
So do I have a motion to defer to redevelopment?
I'll motion.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion to defer coroner,
The money's in place.
office to the discretion of redevelopment committees.
And commissioners.
And commission.
Pending
Yeah.
the lease or the
Inter-
agreement.
Interlocal agreement's probably a better word for it,
agreement
but, yeah.
Or
agreement,
lease.
there you go.
with the hospital. Okay, who seconded? Lindy,
No,
you motioned?
yeah, I motion.
Yeah, I second.
There.
Okay, all in favor?
Don't think we need it, but I'll vote aye.
Ask Diane.
Oh, Diane, are you still there?
Oh, she's in hospital.
Turn it over, maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we motioned to defer the coroner's office to the
Yeah, and I said yes.
Okay, good deal.
I agree.
Okay. 6-0. Got her way too loud.
Diane's on very well.
Okay. Anybody else, anything else to say about that before we move on?
It's good news.
When's the next redevelopment committee meeting, John?
Probably early April.
Okay.
We don't have an exact date, but there's other things we gotta talk about too. You and I were just talking about this yesterday. We're trying to get something done first week.
Okay. All right, the tax abatement request, Austin Trihawk, is that who you're calling now? You should have a couple pages in your packet there.
Hello, Mary Jo. Hello. Hello, are you, okay, do I have, is this the party to whom I'm speaking? Mary Jo? Okay,
So this is a new tax
okay,
abatement.
I'm gonna put you on speaker now that I've made contact, okay? Hold on just a moment. Can you hear us, Mary Jo?
On the tax abatement,
Can you hear us, Mary Jo?
you just dealing with the project.
I can hear you, Tammy.
All right. You're participating in the county council meeting, and we have most of our members present, and our president of the board is Rachel Harden, and on the phone we have Mary Jo, and then we have Marty. Mary Jo, I'll go ahead and let you guys introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, council.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Mary Jo Orlowski. I'm with One Southern Indiana. I do the business retention and expansion for the organization. And on the call, we have Marty Brenner, who is representing Austin Tri-House. So I will let her introduce herself.
Good morning, all. Thank you for taking the time to hear our agenda item today. My name is Marty Brenner. I am a site selection consultant representing Austin Tri-Hawk Automotive today. The company greatly appreciates the relationship with the community, you, and the prior support as it expanded over the years. I thought I would give a little introduction to the project, if that's okay with you all this morning.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me know if you can't hear me or I talk too fast, because I did have a lot of coffee today. So, once again, Austin Tri-Hawk Automotive is considering expanding in Austin, its Austin operations to increase stamping capacity for production of new products for two key customers. The expansion project is also designed to maximize the on-site operations and prepare the facility for increased production complexity that will be essential to support automotive customers in the years to come. The proposed project will include a building expansion with the estimated cost of approximately $6 million for around 35,000 square feet on the northeast side of the existing building. The personal property investment is about $9.8 million in the equipment for two new presses to support the new business. ATA has 480 employees generating $19.2 million in payroll in Austin today. And as a part of this project, ATA is conservatively committing to creating 12 net new positions that will make over $16.80 an hour loaded. That is conservative, as you all know, with everything happening in the world with COVID. It's really hard to project the course now, but that they feel like those numbers they're confident in creating, and those will be needed. And it could be more, but again, they're being conservative. This project is competitive with ATA's affiliated operations in the U.S. for this new business and the expansion. That is why they are requesting a 10-year real and personal property tax abatement that will improve the project's return on investment and make Austin a more cost-competitive location for this project. If all the pieces line up, the project could break ground as soon as this spring. Thank you for your interest and consideration of the abatement request. And I also want to thank Mary Jo and the team at One Southern Indiana for helping us navigate through this process. They have been great to work with. Please let me know any questions. I'm happy to try to answer them, and again, appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
So before you, in your packet, you have 2 abatement requests. One is for real property, and the other one is for personal property. And Karen Arland, who is part of our Kennedy and Downs Associates with our TIF district, since you all did not have a council attorney, which is one of the few things you will need an attorney to do, is prepare these tax abatement resolutions. The redevelopment consultant stepped up, so we'll be, since it won't come out of redevelopment funds for this particular bill, it'll come out of your all's attorney line, since this was for the council's use. But those were drafted. To give you a little background on Karen Arland, her and her associate Buddy Downs were former Ice Miller attorneys, so they come quite highly qualified. So, and they just have retired, moved on, and then they're doing some consultant work. So, anyway, that's set before you. As you look at the schedules, we went with what was customary in the past. You normally have a 10-year abatement cycle. If you look at the schedules for the real property, it should be on the second page probably on that resolution. You're looking at a step-down scale. You usually start off at 100% abatement, then you drop to 95, so that means we'll only collect 5% of the taxes that are calculated after the abatement. So, and then it gradually, kind of doesn't follow a perfect 10% scale down, but and then when you get obviously 5 years into it, you're at that 50% mark. And then your personal property, we went with what the assessor normally uses for Tri-Hawk, and that's attached to the second resolution that you see there, and that's based on the typical scale. So that's basically you totally abate them, and then over a process of 10 years, you phase their tax liability in. And then as that grows, and obviously then with being Tri-Hawk, for the first few years of this, we're going to collect that. Most of that will be captured into the TIF redevelopment funds. So these are going to be, anything that they do will now be part of the growth, and that will be captured by redevelopment. But in about probably about 8 tax cycles now, that TIF district is going to essentially expire. So when it dies off, then all of that base is going to dump into your units in your taxing districts. So the school, the county, different ones, these assessments will dump into the big assessment pot again. And you're going to be now in a position where 8 years down the road, 10 years down the road, within 2 years, and you can see the abatement schedule is going to be down to about the 20%. So they're going to be paying 80% of their taxes. Now all that base is going to dump into our system. So to me, it's a positive thing, because when this TIF district expires, hopefully you'll have a project sitting there with more tax dollars attached to it, since they've expanded Tri-Hawk, and you're going to dump a lot more assessment value into the whole system for the Jennings area and the county as a whole. So, and my understanding is they're competing with sister factories. So they're wanting this project here. So they're looking for incentives to take back to their corporate headquarters.
I'm sorry, when did you say the TIF district expires?
About 8, I think it's got about 8 more tax cycles after this year.
For the folks on the phone, this is Raymond Jones, County Council member, and I just want to say that Austin Tri-Hawk in the past has complied with, has kept their word on everything that every tax abatement, every commitment they've made to the county that I know of. They've kept their word and been a good corporate citizen of Scott County. So I support their request 100%. I got a couple of questions. I guess they're for you, Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you say prepared the ordinances?
Karen Arland with Kennedy Downs and Associates.
Okay, and Austin Trihawk made an application, there's a form application somewhere.
They filed a SB one,
Yeah.
yes.
And we have that on file?
Yes, we do, yes.
Does it talk about, they're gonna employ additional personnel?
She said 12 new ones at
12.
1680.
So,
Maybe more.
and then, I guess it's just an administrative thing. I was thinking that ordinances of this kind had to have a voice vote, and you record the nays and the yays, or
I don't, I'm
are
not.
we
willing-
okay to just vote on it?
I think so, yes. I think you're fine to do that, Raymond. And Karen did not indicate anything to that nature.
I know,
on
that's
this.
why I asked the
Right.
question.
No, I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I think you just make your motion and everybody either approves or disapproves.
Okay. Well,
I think they're the second largest employer in our county now, aren't they? Yeah,
they've always,
and growing.
so when you're ready for motion, I'll make the one on, we need to do them separate. I think,
I would.
Rachel, I think we need to do them separate.
Yeah, because they've got different numbers on them. So we want to go ahead with the 2021-004. So do you want a motion?
I would move to approve.
Okay,
Which one is that personal?
Real,
Real?
yes.
Oh, okay, I see it, yeah.
okay, so move to approve the Scott County Council, the resolution number 2021-004, granting the tax abatement to Austin Trihawk Automotive Incorporated for real property located within Scott County.
And as I said, I would move to approve that.
I second Raymond's motion. Trihawk has been very good to our county. They've been here for a long time now, and like Raymond said, they've lived up to everything before in the past that they said.
Okay, all in favor? Diane?
Yes, yes.
Motion carried, 6-0, all opposed? No? Okay, and now I need a motion for the 2021-005.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Yes.
Good job, Diane.
You're right on.
Both have been approved.
Okay, do we need to sign these?
Please, pass them around if you don't mind. I've got, you wanna actually do, I've got these, if y'all wanna keep copies of those, I
Yeah,
have
that would
set
be-
here. I can never get my hands on it. You just want to
This is
sign
Mary
both
Jo
those.
from One SI. I want to just thank Tammy for her hard work and follow-through on this. She's been excellent to work with and a real pleasure, and I'm looking forward to doing so in the future and meeting your new attorney when they come on board. So the process has gone very smoothly, much in part to her, and that was an excellent explanation, Tammy, of the process.
Oh, gosh, well, thank you very much for all the compliment, but you've been good to work with yourself, and it's nice to, have activity with One Southern, since that has been the revamped, Economic Development Commission's choice. So thank you again for all your help as well, because, it's nice to have this initial activity. So this is a very positive kickoff.
Excellent, and we will be in person at the next meeting. Some things have come up, and therefore we were able to be here in person, so, or there, I should say.
We thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Take care, we'll be talking. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Miss Nancy with United Way, Nancy Riley.
I got stuff for you. First, get that stuff. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nancy Riley. This is just for you to look at. You don't get to touch these, okay? I know. Okay. I'm the executive director of the United Way, Scott County. Michelle, actually,
So I'm wearing a different hat
she is our board president. And she is,
God love you, you just have a hand in,
she does, she does.
big
Hard to
heart,
be involved, yeah.
big heart.
Well, thank you.
You're very right.
Don't get,
You're not supposed to touch.
Mom said you were that kid in school. Mom said you were that kid that didn't
I wasn't
listen.
paying attention.
they're not, they're to look at.
Oh, I see.
So,
Smack him. Where's your
Diane,
ruler?
You're the kid that licked everything.
Did somebody say don't touch right up front?
Yes.
and Diane, you have
Oh, sorry about
you
that.
have an apple in front of you, Diane.
You lost me at Nancy Riley.
You have an apple. I'm sorry.
Apple?
Yeah, you have an apple in front of you, yes.
Okay.
Don't touch it, Diane.
Don't
touch
touch
it.
it. Eric's already got his hand slapped, yeah. We'll do that.
Be tough.
So I've been with United Way for going on for 11 years, and really was not involved in a lot of nonprofit work. I knew what United Way did, quote unquote, it was good, that was about it. And I have a feeling that a lot of times that's what people say when I ask them about United Way. They're, oh yeah, y'all do good stuff. I'm like, well, do you know what we do? Well, no, but I'm sure it's good. And I'm like, well, that's good, but we need to go a little bit further with that. So, just for your vision, Diane, I put either a blank check or an apple or a little packet of nuts in front of everybody. I am really big into visuals. I think that really helps us identify with things. United Way really lives by the motto, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he will eat for the rest of his life. So my question for you all is, would you rather be the person with the apple in front of them or with a check in front of them?
Check.
I'd rather have the apple, because then I could cut it open and take the seeds and plant apple trees.
Well, only you would say that, but yeah.
That's a good answer.
That's a very good answer. Most people would just eat the apple and be hungry in an hour. But yeah, you're exactly right. So going forth with that
Can I
thought,
have both?
no, you cannot have both. I'm
I
sorry.
wanna have my cake and eat it.
I
too.
know. So what United Way does is we try to give people what they need so they can empower themselves and embrace their life and make their life better. So I am just going to read a couple of things to you, if you'll allow me. Our vision for the United Way is to be a creative, passionate, determined, and thriving community for all. Our mission is to empower Scott County today through leadership and services to ensure a brighter tomorrow. What does that mean? It means we want to communicate with you, we want to communicate with our city officials, we want to communicate with our businesses, with our schools. We want to communicate, we want to partner with everyone to make this county what it needs to be, which is better. We can always strive to be better. We are local. Anything that you give here stays here unless you tell me to send it somewhere else. And that goes along with United Ways. We receive donations from, let's say, Columbus, Indiana, from North Dakota, from South Dakota. If somebody that was reared here in the community wants to give back to Scott County, all they have to do is check on their little pledge sheet and those funds come back to Scott County. We've been here since 1992, so that means that next year we celebrate 30 years, which is amazing.
Awesome.
Once again, we raise money locally. We do seek out other grants and scholarships when it's available to do so, but our main focus is Scott County. We move towards partnering to make an impact. We cannot do everything ourselves. We have a wonderful board, we have a wonderful president, but we need help in doing these things. We create opportunities for anyone to be a philanthropist. I think that is the one thing that a lot of people, myself included, when I first started, is, you know, I'm not wealthy. I don't have a lot of money. How am I going to give back? How am I going to be that big, long word, philanthropist? And United Way makes it very, very easy for you to do so. We let people know that by giving as little as $1 a week, as $2 a week. That really makes a huge impact in our community. In your little packet, Diane, which you're gonna have to just take my word for this, you have a pledge card from last year, just so you know kind of what it looks like. We make these up in office. We have, Michelle will let you know, a very constricted budget that we go to. I have been accused as being frugal. We'll use that word. I am that way with home, I am that way with our money, and so is our board. They will literally squeeze every penny out of every dollar to make sure that those pennies and cents and dollars are doing what they need to do and the best that they can do for our community. On the back, you will see our allocated agencies. These change every year. An allocated agency is any 501c3 that has the opportunity. They can come to us during our allocation process, which this year is going to be held the end of May. As long as they're a 501c3, they can come before a committee made up of board members and committee members or community members and plead their case. They can say, this is what we do, this is what we need to accomplish those goals. And then our committee votes on that. They work with our finance committee to say, this is how much money we have for you to do this with. And then we give out. So a couple, maybe 3 years ago or so, I asked our agencies, tell me what you can do with $1 a week. Tell me what you can do so I can really bring it home to people. We all know, even before COVID hit, you know, it's a struggle for a lot of us to make ends meet. And we realized that we need to show people that by giving that $1 a week, that maybe you would go through McDonald's and get a Coke or a tea. That dollar, what that dollar can be used for. So this is just an example. I won't read through all of it. This is yours to keep. You can touch this, Eric. You can have this. Okay, good.
I read Goodnight Gorilla.
Very good job. We will get to Goodnight Gorilla. So that just gives you an insight as to the organizations that we worked with last year. The next thing I would like you, have you seen this? I didn't see it. Did you see it?
Yes.
Okay. It's called the Golden Circle. And Diane, what it is a circle, kind of like a target. It has why in the middle, it has how in the second ring, and it has what in the third ring. So a lot of people will say, this is what we do. This is how we do it. And they don't go into the why we do it. And I would like to start with why we do it. Why United Way is here, why I'm sitting in front of you, why Michelle is on the board, why she is an active president, along with our other board members. Because we believe that we can make a change in the community. I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you asking for what I'm going to ask if I didn't. Michelle wouldn't be devoting her time with everything, like you said, that she has to do if that why was not the center of what we want to accomplish in our community. Our purpose is to focus on education, on health and financial stability, along with early childhood education. We brought in early childhood education as our community impact a few years ago, and that will bring us to the books that you have in front of us for a minute. The how is that we work with our community, with our city, with our county. We work with our companies, large and small businesses, and we work with individuals. Up until the last 2 years maybe, and it is definitely making a swing, the majority of our income comes from pledges, payroll deduction. When Samtec came, went to them, as we all do, and go to them and say, this is what we do. I was met with, nice to meet you, we will never do payroll deduction. Okay, well that was a stab in my heart, but okay, we'll go on from there. Multicolor Corporation, you know that they are expanding. They have this past campaign said, I'm so sorry, we're not going to allow you to do campaigns. As you know, that was two really, really big hits, because that's what we go for, is to meet individuals and let them know that they can make that impact, and we bring that back full circle. So that has really hurt.
Yeah, even the county. You
Even
know,
the
when I
county.
first
Yes.
got on the board, I could do payroll deduction. I think there was just too few of us where it just cost too much, so then payroll deduction, isn't an option. And if it wasn't for me going to our monthly board meetings, you know, and even then, like, I forget to write that check sometimes every month. So when you can just set it up to do payroll deduction, it really does benefit us. And with that money that we get from organizations, that's where our allocations money comes from. So those donations that come in, we take a portion of those depending on how much we get. And over the last several years, that unfortunately that amount has decreased because, as Nancy said, you know, just less businesses are able to give or don't allow us to come in and, you know, do this kind of thing that we're doing today. So the less money we're able to allocate to our community, unfortunately, because of that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now you know why she's president. She gets it, she got it. And then what is we give? We give. We give to our allocated agencies, we give to our programs, we give to programs. We do a wheelchair ramp accessible program that we partner with a group from Ford to come down and do it. So that's the what, the how, and the why. Like I said, a few years ago, we decided that we, United Way, was going to focus on a community impact program. And we knew that from talking to different groups and so forth, that early childhood was really where it needs to start. My background, I have 4 children. If you know any of them and like or don't like them, I apologize, but I love them all. And 2 of them have come back to the community. They all graduated from Scottsburg High School. 2 of them have come back to the community. One of them just retired from the Navy, which doesn't make her mother feel old at all, is in North Carolina. And my daughter just moved from Kentucky back to Jeffersonville, so we're getting her a little closer back in. I was a preschool teacher after I stayed home with them, and was a preschool teacher for about 12 years here in Austin and in Scottsburg. So my love, needless to say, for children and for the education of those children has been since day one. So when we started looking for things, it's like, okay, I'm a one-person office, which means you're going to have to do something that we can handle basically on our own. A lot of great programs out there, a lot of early literacy and a lot of early childhood, but nothing that we felt could manage with staff. Found the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Are you all familiar with this?
Yes, it's amazing. Love it.
Yes, good, okay. Basically, it is a program where it is free for any child that lives in Scott County, period. There's no red tape. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's nothing else other than that. When I ask people about it, I'm like, hey, is your, have you signed up, well, no. And I'm like, I promise you there's nothing else. You get a book. Your child gets a book mailed to them in the mail. It is free to you, and it's age appropriate. If you have 3 kids, if you have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn, all 3 of those children get a book mailed to your home that's age appropriate. And they're good books. Yes, I love them, we all. Today, as of this morning when I checked, we have 920 children in Scott County receiving a book every month.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
It's a great number.
Good job.
Thank you.
Big number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, with childhood literacy, since the 5 years that I've been here, almost 5 years, one topic that always comes up with council is our jail, right? It's a very expensive part of our community. And there's many, many studies that go back to low childhood literacy in 3rd grade and lower correlates to how many inmates and people will be put in that system. So even though it doesn't seem like a big impact to our community, it really is and can be very long-term, have that sort of impact on our community.
I was blown away when I heard that fact. I really was. I'm like, I knew in my realm what it means, but to see that extend out and it's community-wide. We've got to get these children literate. We've got to get books in the hands of children and of parents. So for 25 to 30, it's somewhere in that range. We say $25. $25 per child per year. $2 a book. Basically is what it cost us. You can see from the books in front of you, these are quality books. These aren't little paperback with no meaning books. The Little Engine That Could is kind of her signature book. They've allowed that to take over and be, and that's what she says. You know, she says, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And Dolly Parton is now international. We also have 1,422 children in Scott County that have graduated out of the program since it started. So when a child turns 5, they get a little book, and it says, here we go, kindergarten, here I come. And it's adorable. We work with the library, and this is over with, and we'll do it again, for the kids once they get that book, realizing that they can go physically into the library and get that library card and continue that. Probably the only negative thing about this is that, as you all are very aware, we have a very transient community. So what happens if little Jimmy's mom and dad move and they don't tell us where they're moving? That's why you have the books in front of you. They come back to us, and we are charged postage on every single book that comes back. A lot of times that postage is more than $2. And so we eat that. That goes into our budget for the books as well. The books are mailed out from Tennessee to the people's homes, and then if they return, they're returned here to our post office. Post office doesn't have a choice. They have to charge us. We go in, we pick them up. I go in every day and try to make contact with these parents. Hopefully they have an email or a phone number, and we try to reach out to them and say, hey, we have Johnny's book. Would you love to come get it? We have just started working with New Hope and kind of trying to get some connection with them. They came in the other day and they're like, oh, I know them and I know them. I can take them their book.
Good.
Great. That's good. So we're trying desperately to get those books back in the hands. Kids don't have a choice. They go where they have to go.
What happens to the books when they come back if they're not playing?
So we use them then, in the past, we take them to doctor's office, dentist office, laundromats, any place that will, beauty shops. We leave them out there with, you'll see the pledge, or not the pledge card, the sign-up card inside it. We'll leave those out. Java House has them anywhere we can think of.
And then recently, the FOP
Yes.
purchased them. So you can purchase them for $2, and so they're going to give them to officers to hand out whenever, the kids.
To the bear,
so,
or along with the bear, and so on, they're gonna do that. And then, and then we offer them for $2 a piece. We have a Dolly Parton Imagination Library Facebook page that is separate from our United Way of Scott County page. And so you will see on there, I will try to take pictures and note the books that are in the office, and anybody is free to come in. They make, birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, whatever the kind might be. YMCA in the past has come in and bought around 50 to 100 books, depending on how many kids they have, at that $2 a piece, and they give out for their literacy program that they do on their summer program as well. So with all that being said, because especially of COVID, and especially because of the circumstances of these two major companies, we find ourselves, and no surprise, in a deficit of meeting our goal. We put a goal every year to ourselves, and try as we make this year, we just are not making it, which means we are not going to have the funding to give out to these agencies that come to us. So my ask is for $5,000, if you could find it, to give to us. We'll gladly take more, always more, but we would love now and going forward for you all to really partner with us, that we could really say that that you see the need for United Way and that what we do, and that we partner together for the needs of Scott County. So if you have any questions?
Yeah, I got kind of a technical question.
That's fine.
With the books being returned, I worked for the post office for a while, years ago, and I don't understand all the return service and address change stuff. Is there a cost, is it cost effective, or is it possible that the books could follow the address change with the people?
A lot of times they don't, with the type of, families that typically, because I work with healthy families for 6 years, they don't typically file address changes, so they just move from house to house, and those kids just get lost in the system. Both my kids graduated from this. They come addressed to the kids, so when they're 5, they just think it's the greatest thing in the world when they get something in the mail from them or for them. Yeah, so there is no, I mean, you might get maybe 1 or 2, maybe a handful that actually do the address change.
Well,
but
there's probably an increased cost to it, I'm sure.
There is.
But I just wondered if it was worthwhile to try to have, have the post office follow it all.
And we've asked, because, and I'm sorry, I didn't show you that. So where we have covered this label right here, the books are, like Lindy said, they're wrapped in cellophane, and their child's name and address and so forth is here on this label. So a lot of times, if they do have an address change, the post office will, put that on there for my benefit, for me to try to help track them down. But it's an additional cost to them to forward it, and to us for them to forward it, so we don't. Yeah, we just go pick them up, and I get the yellow slip in the post office box, and I'm like, I know what it is, unfortunately.
And a lot of times, if you can track them down, then you're reestablishing that connect also.
Yes.
If you can track them down and get engaging them and bringing them back into the system.
Yes.
And therefore then picking that child back up to hopefully, so, anyways. I'm off my little.
No, thank you. You
That's what I
just,
used
yeah.
to do.
Usually I'm hard to stop when it comes to those, because every time we get a new book, Charlotte Boswell does our finances for us. And so yesterday we got a new book back that I had not seen. And so I'm just standing over there. She was reading to, oh, you're reading your book. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, I got one more question.
Yes.
Where are we gonna get $5,000?
I guess that's a question for you guys.
That's right.
We just asked.
We just asked.
I mean, it's not advertised, so we can't
Right.
legitimately do anything today, but
I think it's something that we need to.
do you have all the totals together from them?
We'll have for the next one.
Almost, okay.
Yeah, so they have to advertise it, if they do decide to do that,
Okay,
from which fund it would come from.
gotcha.
And then,
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you listening and hearing.
Well, I would just,
So do I have a motion to table it for the next meeting when she'll have our totals out, and then we can find a place from it and.
I have a motion for that.
Okay. Lindy?
Yes.
A second.
Motion to table till next meeting, in which we'll have all the totals from our budget stuff completed,
Okay.
and we can see further where we can find it. But that would be a great place to put it.
We think so. And if y'all have any questions, if you don't know, my office is right here across from City Hall. And my office hours-ish are 9 to 4-ish. So if you ever need anything, Michelle's got my phone number, my
I'm
cell
around.
phone. Yeah, I started to say.
they know how to get.
I have a question, it has
Sure.
something to do with this, but not really. So I know it's county by county, so
Right.
if they move out of county, do you just if you can?
We
locate
can.
them, you can just transfer it to
Yes.
If that county has
If
the,
that
that
county
county
has the
has it,
program,
yes,
right,
uh-huh.
yeah.
Yes.
So I tried to get my cousins signed up for it, but they're in Michigan, and Michigan doesn't participate.
and I think Washington County does not do it,
Washington
but
County does
Jefferson
not have it.
County.
Jefferson County
does.
just started it.
Clark does.
Clark has it, Floyd has it, Jackson just got it. And I just emailed actually the lady that's doing it, she's with Sheila Bauer. So it's not always, it can be just a community program as well. So, and I just wanted to kind of show you in the world that we live in right now. And I think especially for Scott County, there's a big talk about diversity and teaching your children. When I was younger and growing up, we moved a lot. So, and you didn't think about that. We were taught people were people. If they were good people, you hung around them and you liked them. If they were bad people, you didn't. It didn't matter, period. anything like that. But Dolly Parton is very aware of communities like ours that don't have a lot of diversity. We taught our children as well. It did not matter, you know, what your hair looked like, what your skin looked like, whatever, you know, if you were good, you were good, if you're bad, you're bad. Pretty black and white, as they if you can say that anymore. Sorry about that, I'm not always politically correct. But the books that she sends out do such a great job. The Strawberry Field, yes, there's, which I just love, you know, because let's face it, we're in, unless you have parents or family or the ability to get out of this community, sometimes children are very shielded and they don't see and they don't know, and I think that's so important that our children are taught that universally, good is good, bad is bad, no matter what, no matter any of that. And I think she does a wonderful job. She doesn't, I was a little, and I think we talked about this, I was a little apprehensive how far in directions she would go. And she doesn't, which it's wonderful that she teaches good morals, just like I said, just bottom line morals to these children, and that's what they need across the board.
Yeah, Tristan just got a book, Rainbows, and it talks
Yes.
about colors and feelings and.
Yes.
that one's a good one.
I miss
Yeah,
the
that
books
was cute.
coming to the house.
Well,
Oh, Kason loves it. Like you said, he gets the mail, so he gets his book and he's like, Mommy, I got a book today. So when you called me, I was like, oh yes, we love
good.
Dolly Parton.
And if you ever want any books, you got a stack of books at the office, just
Yes.
come on
Oh,
over.
I still have I saved all the books that
Good.
and I would get duplicates because they're 5 years apart.
Uh-huh.
So I'd be like, oh, Michael, you're gonna love this book, because Deanna did, but he didn't, so.
I know. That's why there's such a good variety.
Thank you very much.
Well, we thank you, ladies.
Thank you
Guys.
very much. I am going to take my checks back, but the rest of you can have, and
Now you can
touch it. Now
Thank
can
you.
touch it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay,
Don't touch it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
And the motion
Yes.
is.
Diane, are you still there?
To table it.
Yes, I'm still here.
this
I want my
motion-
apple.
This motion is to table it.
Table it, yeah, so they can advertise about that, so we can find a place for it, and then,
Well, I've got a comment for us between now and the next time we consider it.
okay?
And the request is for us to give them a grant, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You're opening up the door. Be prepared for, you guys do good.
Thank you.
I know a lot of good stuff comes out of your office, and I commend you. But there's a lot of other agencies in the county that do also. Now, don't be surprised if some of them appear before us wanting the same thing.
I think most of them were off our list, though, to
I'm
be
sorry.
honest. I said, I think most of them are off our list now, they've all came in.
None that I know of. Anyway, I'm putting it out, think about that before we consider it again, okay?
Very true.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know what, I'm still not out here. And I will say, and you're very, very right about that, right? I will say the one place I think United Way really differs from most of the other agencies, even agencies that we give to, is that they are very, very specific. Where United Way, we give broadly to the community, from birth, senior to all avenues of life and all ages and all needs. As you can see, everybody comes to us for that. And we have the ability to look at those, where a lot of those agencies don't have that, where their focus is great, and that's why we support them. But if someone wants to give, and they don't know who they want to give to, or what needs really need to be met in Scott County, that's why they come to us. And that's why we feel like we're the experts.
I don't have a question about the good work.
Oh, and I know
Yeah, and we understand what you're saying.
I don't have a
Yes.
question about that at all.
Absolutely, yeah. I do think that kind of puts us a little bit apart from, from others. But thank you all so much, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We just stuff now.
Okay, next item, the Austin City Economic Development Corporation appointment.
think that didn't he send me a letter?
Yeah, I was getting ready to,
You go-
they had asked that you be on that if you wanted to.
If the board wants that, I'll accept it. Are we-
Should we, and no disrespect, but should we do like we did with the other appointees? I mean, we make sure that that there isn't somebody else first, you know, somebody might be
We want somebody
interested.
from the board.
Oh, it's a board
It
appointment.
Yeah,
wants
they're
somebody
asking.
Oh, it's a
from
board
this
appointed?
board
Okay.
here.
And since he's in the Austin area, they had written a letter saying that
I know, I saw that.
That
I
Donnie
just
could be on
didn't
there.
realize it had to be a board member.
It's a.
it needs to be.
Right.
Member appointment,
So it has to be a member.
yes.
Yes.
I would
Because you're
nominate
representing
Donnie
the
since he
county's
says he would
interest
accept
on
it.
their
Okay.
board, yes.
I would
Mhm.
nominate Donnie if he says
Okay.
he would accept it.
All right, Raymond nominated Donnie.
The lady they dealt with earlier, their representative, was she, that lady from Southern Indiana?
Do I have a second?
Oh, Austin just formed the EDC and they're asking for council.
I'll second.
I'll second, well.
Waited too long. All right, all in favor?
Yes.
All right, 6-0. All right, thank you, Donnie, for being on
Thank you,
that.
board. I appreciate it.
Next is the salary ordinance amendment, highway engineer salary.
There's a letter in your packet from the Board of Commissioners. Not on John, do you want to talk about?
And they probably have a pretty good idea of what we got here. We've hired Andrew Boswell, and assuming he'll accept the job, and the council pays $55,000 a year. We'll be applying for the state grant part of it, which is another $40,000 a year for him. There is a statute that the commissioner set the salary on that.
And I put that in that letter,
Yeah.
yes.
And basically, just ask for your guys' approval to go forward with it.
And my suggestion for the salary ordinance, so it is universal, so to speak, for this position, is that we keep the highway supervisor just in place, just as it is now. There's actually appropriated a little over 55,200 something. I think I put it in that letter as well. And then with the state stipend, I would just like to list it under the highway supervisor with an asterisk to tie the two together and put additional 40,000, because heaven forbid if this doesn't work out, or because after we get everything in place, so to speak, today, if that works out, then Andrew, I think, is gonna try to come in and sign a conditional offer of employment, and move forward with that. And so upon that acceptance, should he either decline, or in 8-9 months or whatever, decide he's not gonna work at the county anymore, if the commissioners go with the supervisor again, you don't have to amend your salary ordinance anymore. We just drop back down to that one.
And we'll be changing the title, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Your letter indicates that as well, that it's the old way we did it years ago when there was another highway engineer in place.
Back to
Teresa, was that about
Yeah.
2007?
About 6 and 7.
6 and 7? It was highway engineer / supervisor. It's kind of a wonky title. So they've kind of morphed, it's been a few years, and now it's called highway director. And the job description that they approved is for highway director, and it requires a bachelor's degree, preferred Indiana license of engineer from the state of Indiana, that's preferred. It has the grant, language still in there, that they're pursue grant opportunities and whatnot, and supervise, and then there's a lot of statute, if you go to that Indiana code there, that outlines what a highway engineer is responsible for. There's a lot of things in code. So, given that, they've morphed the title into what they call a highway director, and that kind of covers being an engineer and supervising the highway operations.
And you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but the 40,000 is not like a lump sum check. If he works 6 months and quits, he doesn't get the 40,000. He'll get just what he works.
It's
And we
prorated.
go back to the old system of having our highway supervisor.
So why do you guys want to start out at the 55,000?
That's what it is now.
Well, I know, but we gave Jill $5,000 raise for writing grants. So then that would knock it back down to 50.
It's up to you guys.
And then,
We asked for 55, so that's what it was.
and then he just graduated in 2011, so there's not that many years of experience there. So I'm not feeling I mean, he
But
he
he
had
may
to go to
not take it,
college
to be
and he
honest
had
with you,
to.
if we don't, but that's whatever.
So that's what he's asking for, you guys have already offered him that.
Kind of
Hang on.
a question. Like, is he or somebody down there gonna still kind of write grants and,
Yeah, well, we got River Hill to be doing, he'll be doing
We'll
it.
be paying River Hills.
but are we gonna pay River
He'll
Hills?
be doing it too.
But do we have to pay River Hills?
No extra, no.
No extra money?
With the NDOT, I think River Hills, the commissioners gave them permission. They were a little hesitant, weren't you, kind of at first, because you didn't know what it was entail, because
Yeah.
you didn't want it to be an outgo. But they agreed to let River Hills list them in their NDOT contract, because they contract with NDOT to do a lot of the community crossings. They said, we will do as little or as much as you want us to do. If they're new hire,
At no
Right.
additional cost?
At no
At
additional
no
cost.
additional cost, that's correct.
Okay. That-
But
that
we did
helps.
offer the 95,000, you're right about that.
their board agreed to offer him 95 at the last meeting.
Well, just to clarify on the 40,000 for somebody that's not maybe, following the money, that sounds like a lot of money, but the 40,000, and you've explained it, but to be perfectly clear, that comes from the state.
Yes.
It doesn't come from the county, technically, it doesn't come out of the county taxpayer's pocket. That's a state additional for an engineer, so we're not paying anything extra for this.
But we're gonna
I
pay
think they've already authorized it.
$55,286.40
We're just not.
for a person.
Right,
Right.
right.
So
That is,
you guys have already authorized that, you just,
Right.
yeah.
Jill had
That's
17
what-
years, and that's just what, and made us a lot of money with grants.
Well,
So,
my thought is.
it's a lot of money to start at.
My thought is the council has no action to take.
Well, we
Would you
can
explain-
request
would
that
you
they lower their amount.
We got the salary set for
You do.
at $55,286.40. As far as I'm concerned, that's a salary we established, it stands.
But he's gonna be an
I
engineer,
can't-
so it's a new
I
position.
can't see the council establishing a salary for anybody of $95,000. I can't see the council doing that. I don't think we have to. We've got a salary established. The commissioners had an opportunity for a supplement.
The 40,000.
If they hire an engineer, they have the opportunity for a supplemental to the salary. As far as I'm concerned, that's theirs. If they wanna add it to what we have, that's okay. That's up to them. We established a salary at 55,000 or whatever, and that's what stays. We didn't establish a salary of 95,000 for any county employee. All we have to do, in my opinion, is give the auditor the authority to change, and you could put a line item on the salary ordinance accounting for the 40,000 or whatever amount they decide to use on the salary ordinance. Our salary of 55,000 stays there. They manipulate whatever the 40,000, however much of it or whatever. We don't have a dog in that fight. That's you guys. And we authorize the auditor to make the changes on the salary ordinance. We're done with it. In fact, the code indicates that the commissioner set the salary for this incident. Now, at the same time, I'll point out that there's a code that conflicts with that. So, my opinion is, that council don't have to do anything at this point. Commissioners, take that 40,000, do with it whatever you want. When you decide, let us know and we'll authorize the auditor to make the necessary changes on the salary ordinance. That's all we have to do with it. That's my opinion.
I see where Raymond's coming from and.
We don't, I don't
I've
wanna
got
set
it.
a salary of 95,000.
No, I mean,
I
we're
don't.
not.
It's not
We're not.
even.
No, I don't think,
We're set at 55,
We're
and
set-
like you say, I believe
yes.
there's nothing for us to do.
And we're setting it, and our salary that we established stands. They've got a supplement
Yeah.
that they can add to it.
That's nothing to do with us.
That's right.
But my question was, is about the grants. It's not gonna cost us additional 5,000, not taking 5,000 away or gonna cost us anything other than the 55,000 that's done been set. That was my.
But if we give 50-cent raise every year and we start him out at 55,000 on our budget, it's gonna be
but
a
the.
big number
but
real
the job
fast.
but the job descriptions have changed, correct? You've added to these job descriptions from,
They haven't written a new one.
Yeah, they did. They did, and approved it at the last meeting. They did the highway director.
There is one
If
other
they, if
thing.
they get the engineer, they
Well, that's what I mean,
adopt it,
for the
yes.
engineer one though. I
Right.
mean,
And the supervisor, the highway supervisor was amended, probably what, two years ago, maybe? Time gets away, maybe three.
Yeah.
I don't, seems, maybe, it was.
It was right when I came in.
There was some, discussion about adding to that with the grants, nailing that down for the highway supervisor to actually have, to seek opportunities, any financial opportunities, grants or whatever, so.
They was a raise.
so there,
And then there was a raise, I think it was
5,000.
3 or 5, I can't remember.
so is this engineer position
And not the.
doing the same
Yeah,
job
you would
that,
have to give it on the 95,000.
well, I know, but still,
Correct.
that's gonna be starting,
It'd be 50.
To me, they'd have a little bit of power because of an engineer. I've
Right.
done it honestly.
but I'm saying that.
but when you check with the other counties, they've got people in there that have been there 17, 20 years, and they're just now getting to where he's gonna be. Does he have the experience that,
He's not been a highway supervisor.
exactly?
But that's our decision, Rachel.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I'm just asking you guys
I
to,
have a suggestion.
Okay.
Why do we do some research, and maybe you've already done this, so I don't know. What does a person in this particular position make in the adjoining counties, statewide?
65, 75, 85, 95.
Right. So, I mean, but put that on a piece of paper, put that in a document so that we can take a look at that. And, I mean, and maybe it's already been done, I don't know. But, we don't want to be like setting somebody up at $95,000 a year when people that, like you said, have been in, Rachel, are just now getting to that point. I'm not saying he's not worth it, but I'm just saying let's take a look at it and see what people, I just pulled up something here that, and this is a highway superintendent, $83,008 a year, which calculates out to about $39.91 an hour. Now, I don't know if that's a national, that's off a ZipRecruiter. So, I just think we maybe just get some other estimates on what other superintendents or directors or whatever the actual position is being called now, and then kind of go from there before any kind of a decision is made on that type of. And I agree, if we've already set our salary, yes, that's what we pay, and then the commissioners, and how much is that for? Is that $40,000? Is that good for a year? Is that good for 2 years? Is that for 10 years? Do we have?
It's an annual.
Is that going to be a consistent amount of money that the commissioners are going to get?
As long as
And
there's
then-
an engineer in that
I'm sorry.
position.
The state sets aside $920,000 a year, Diane, for highway engineer stipends. And if a county employs an engineer, then, obviously if it was January 1st through December 31st, the auditor, it's in statute as well, has to apply for the funds, from the auditor of state's office. And then it's prorated, depending on, but if it's a full year, you get the full 40,000, and that's renewed annually.
Okay, and is it something that the state's going to do every year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that was one of my questions as well. So as long as we know the state's going to do that every year and that money is going to be there, that would be up to the commissioners to get that amount of money. But I mean, if they can get that amount of money, but I think we need to take a look and see what other superintendents or engineers or whatever are making, and maybe they've already done that, but if not, that, I think that would be something
There
that
is,
is, not,
Did you talk to Jackie?
there is other counties doing this, and I have done investigation on it.
Because
Chairman
this
Jones has.
county executive right here, since we make every other salary ordinance, I don't understand why this would be up to the commissioners.
I think Floyd, Clark, different areas.
But they fix it, and you guys appropriate
Here-
State Board of Accounts out there.
Right. Here's the way I feel. We have nothing to do with the $40,000. We have nothing to do with that. We've already set a salary. The only thing that we can do from here on out is to cut. I mean, the salary, 55,000 doesn't get set. If he gets $1 or $40,000, that's you guys. The
I know, but
salary-
if we start at this
40,000
number,
has to
we
be- has to
can't
come
take it
through us.
away if he,
I mean, it doesn't go to the commissioners, it goes to us. It comes into the county.
But this 55,000's done been set. I don't know what else we
He
need.
makes 95,000 where he's at now.
Yeah, I know, but the 40,000, you're talking about the 40,000 being separate, well, it's separate, but we still have to okay it.
No, no.
You can't
no,
just- you can't just
we're
No.
going for the 55,000 right now. This is us.
That's complete. If we don't hire an engineer, the county, that stipend doesn't come to us.
Right, and if
So-
this guy quits the next day, then the
Right,
40,000
so,
goes
so then
away.
there's no 40,000,
Yeah.
so,
And then you got 55 to hire
so then
somebody else.
then we'd have to turn around and hire a highway
understand.
director for 55,000.
But any way you turn it around, $40,000 is gonna come from somewhere, and we're gonna appropriate, because we are the fiscal body of this county.
I just don't know
The
how
commissioners
to set
aren't
it
gonna
up.
be taking money and
We're not,
put it in
we're
his
not
paycheck.
setting that,
No.
we're setting that at 55,000.
Okay.
We're not setting that at 95,000. That's why it's gonna have a separate stipend from the state. But I'm just saying, it took Jill a long time and a lot of work to make that 55,000.
I understand all that, but that 40 is,
I
that 40 is our money too.
I think they're gonna try to get an answer.
They can't, nobody gets any money unless we give it to you.
Well, I think they're gonna get us an answer.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay.
I don't know, I've never run into it.
It says the county highway engineer is entitled to a salary fixed by the county executive and shall be allowed, and there's a shall in there, shall be allowed actual traveling and other expenses incurred in the discharge of duties. The salary and expenses shall be paid out of, be paid out of county general funds, the county distribution of motor vehicle highway account funds, or both, and the county highway engineer fund. The county executive shall provide all the facilities, equipment, and personnel required by the county highway engineer in the discharge of his duties, or his or her duties. So, this is in, I wanna go back to what Raymond said, this is in conflict with most of the statute and the premise that we've always worked on is that council classifies and compensates the wages. You guys are over the salary ordinance. You do the appropriations for the wages. Why this is set out like this, I do not know unless it has to do with a conjoined effort, because the state is pushing highway funds here. If the executive decides that an engineer is who they want to lead their highway department, or to be utilized. There are a lot of counties, when you look at the AIC book, because I dug around a little bit in that, back to Rachel's point, they have an engineer and a supervisor. They have two positions. When I looked at counties that were in our same population range, I think there was one county that paid 88 for an engineer, another one paid 98. So 95 was kind of smushed there in the middle. You go up or down, you'll find some are 100 and some thousands, some are part-timers, I think, because there's one county I found that was $39,500. And they had a supervisor, so that tells me that probably the engineer was a part-time engineer and they had a full-time supervisor. So it's about and the State Board of Accounts, one of her last words in her email to me was the boards should communicate. Because their wishes with your funding and appropriations is where they said, that was her thing, they need to communicate. Yeah, and she highlighted that the county executive fixes this. I tried to nail her down even because it's kind of like trying to catch an eel sometimes when you try to get state board.
You got a no answer.
They'll gum you to death,
Yeah,
okay? There's no
makes it
teeth.
tough.
Uh-oh, here comes the paper.
So the county executive, I would think that was the commissioners and us.
The executive
As
is
a-
only the commissioners. The council and the commissioners function both legislatively, because you guys do pass resolutions and ordinances sometimes. But executive means the three, and fiscal means you guys. You're the big bucks.
That's right.
That's
To the
right.
bank.
In some of the directives, we're referred to
So
as
this is 05.
legislative or,
Two separate-
not executive,
two
but
separate lines.
some cases we're referred to
What's
as
that?
legislative.
I think both sides.
And it's confusing.
So this is 2005, when we had our last engineer. It says engineer supervisor, original appropriation, 48,000. And then office manager, 36,000.
And the stipend was in a separate line.
The engine, 5,000,
Yeah.
so 5,000 extra.
And I would have to look back, Rachel, to see if that was a proration of,
I'm sorry, what are we looking at in Orchard? What was, is
just
that?
two separate line items in the budget back then when we had an engineer.
In '05,
Uh-huh.
for
That's in the
the
highway.
engineer position at the highway department, it was 48,000, and then there was a stipend, $5,000
Mhm.
that they gave us. And then office manager was 36,000.
So 16 years ago, it was 48,000. I think
So,
that.
that doesn't say anything about the 40, or no, that doesn't.
I would
not
just,
involved in
I
that.
printed that out to show you that the stipend that came in, and again, that may have been a proration, I'd have to go back and research that, to show you that it went into the highway department budget as a separate line item.
You mean the 40?
Well, there's
The
another-
5,000, it was only 5,000 back then, but it goes into the highway
I see,
department
I see.
as a different line item, so they can pay out of it.
Okay, but we still say that they get the money.
Yes,
So I move to approve.
I second.
What are we approving?
That we're gonna keep the salary at 55.
Our salary ordinance stands, is that what we're saying?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm good with that.
And should the commissioners employ an engineer, then I should make that notation on the salary ordinance?
You
Is that
can-
what you guys are saying?
You fix the salary.
Because I'm looking for my
ordinance.
direction now.
You fix
Motion to
it.
approve 55,286.40 as budgeted.
So we're approving again what we've already approved.
Yeah, because it's a new, I'm looking at it as a
Doesn't
new,
hurt.
new job
If this
description.
doesn't, you know, if this doesn't work out, we'll go back to the drawing board and start over.
I think the 55,000 is appropriate, considering what
As
48,000 15 years ago, 16 years ago. So I think that's appropriate.
Now, was there a second?
I second it.
So move to approve to reestablish the highway supervisor line, and the salary ordinance is
budgeted
8640
As
as
budgeted.
budgeted.
as is for
Is that
engineer.
what you said, Eric?
Yes.
I want it to be like what the commissioners want. They have, they
It's
hired the
yours.
guy, they told him what he's gonna make. We've got it already in our budget for this year, we don't have to change anything.
So do we need
The
to,
additional money will come from the state, all that goes together.
after this, do
That's
we
my
need a motion for you to make a new line item for
On
the
the
state
salary.
stipend?
You guys
I
want
make
to
a motion.
establish it, then if you guys don't care, make another motion to tell me your
Okay,
salary ordinance.
so now that we're
action.
done with that one.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed?
Okay, Rachel.
Diane, were you aye or no?
I was
Okay,
yes,
so
whatever.
5-1.
5-1, is that what you got, Rachel?
Yep.
5-1?
It's
Okay.
hard when you're out like.
Okay,
that.
now we need to
It's hard
motion
when you're- It's hard when you're not.
to
sitting
create a
there.
line item
To amend the 2021-001 salary ordinance.
to amend 2021-00.
By creating that line for highway engineer, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to make sure I'm clear. So by creating that line item, then the commissioners, it will be up to them or to get that 40,000 if they so choose to hire someone of that caliber, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
There is another thing for us to think about. Somebody's gotta pay the benefits out of that. That could be as much as $5,000. I hadn't figured it
On
out.
on that 55,000.
But the benefits have got to be paid on the 40,000, what I'm talking about.
That's why I was nay.
Yeah.
And with that, Teresa, like some of the benefits are they all budgeted in the highway department's budget, or they come out of commissioners as well? Highway.
So will it be any more, I think is the question, will there be more, the benefit?
On the 40,000, you will pay
Yeah.
the FICA, Medicare, yeah.
But how much will that be, can you give it
Um,
together?
7.6.
5 out of
457
40,000, so
would be more there.
it'd be about 2,600 probably, just on the social security part.
So $4,000 or $5,000?
And then if you do a deferred comp match, that's another 6%. So you're looking at 12.65% on top of the 40. So then that's at least 4,000, because that's 10%. So you're looking at probably
I made an estimate of $5,000.
$5,000-ish dollars.
Yeah, it's probably about right.
Yeah.
That's gotta be,
That's gonna have to be increased somewhere.
So if you
in the
guys will
highway
take
budget.
5,000 off and offer him 50,000, that'll equal it all out, and that will make me
I don't, that's up to you
decently
guys.
happy.
I know we offered him 95, that's what he's making now where he's at. To be honest with you, he probably wouldn't come if we offered him less. But that's just where we
We've
are.
already hired him, John.
He's been offered,
Good job.
he has accepted, he's waiting to see if he's gonna get the money.
So, and then that will come out of the highways, budget, right, on all 457, everything will come right out of that highway budget.
So that's gonna be, at this point in time, I could only anticipate that if they can't transfer it from some other, right, there's gonna be an additional request later. Because there wasn't enough budget at the beginning of the year to cover
Now, that 50,
benefits on a 40.
that 55,000 is.
It's
that-
already covered.
But I mean, is that already into the 55,000?
Yes, those things were taken care of budget time, but this additional 40 throws another 55-ish $100 if he takes deferred comp, that's optional. And the FICA Medicare is not optional, so that's an automatic 7.65%. Doesn't change FUTA or SUTA or anything like that, because it's maxed out at 60-some thousand a year, so.
Is
that
the
is-
money in place, or do they have to, do they
This-
have to come and ask?
This is like reinventing the position again to a certain extent, because those benefits were not budgeted
Right.
last fall for a $40,000 increase for one position,
So what I'm asking, does this board have to approve another $5,000?
Yes.
possibly, and
Okay,
more than
that's what I'm trying
likely.
to clear for you.
If there is
Yes.
no money in another line that can be transferred to
And-
cover it, they
so-
will have to have an
But they
additional.
would still have to even approve that, wouldn't they, or not?
If there is
If
operating
it's-
balance to do additionals, yes.
Okay, so maybe, maybe not. Yeah.
But more than likely, that would be my guess.
I say since you've already offered him the job, I think we ought to stick to it. I think next time, we come to the board and get it all squared away. If it ever happens again, hopefully you'll retire from there, but if not, come to the board and get all that part. You hate to offer a man something, so well,
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
I'm
here we
with,
got-
I don't
we gotta
have a
take
problem with
some-
anything anybody said in here, I'm just, this is where we're
yeah,
at.
I understand. But I think if, come here first, and then you know exactly what to offer a man when he comes to the table. I don't.
We just don't know what's to come, and we don't know the money.
I think it'd
We
be,
gotta be-
I think it'd be a lesson for if it ever happens again, but it's just like almost backing out on your word, and I don't like it.
Well, and then I'm gonna go back to what State Board of Accounts finished that email with us. It's important for boards to communicate,
Right,
and that's what you just said.
yeah, and there's times that we do things before we get with the commissioners, and they do things before they get with us, and it's just a good example, so.
That's why we have.
So if they,
council, we have commissioners.
if they don't
Go work
hire an
together.
engineer, then we do what we want with that salary from before, right? The supervisor
It's
position.
still, it will still stand. So if, say for example,
If we hire someone else, we
If
can't
they-
take it down before we offer them. Take it back down
you,
to where a starting position would be like we do with every position on the salary ordinance.
yes, you can, that compensation for that supervisor is, well, to me, Teresa, falls under the regular rules of the game where you classify and compensate. So, for example, if you decided in between that, look, if they hire somebody, they're gonna be a newbie or whatever, we're gonna jump in there and reduce that appropriation for that line, you could have done that.
Yep.
And said, okay, our new supervisor is gonna start out at 50.
Yeah.
Okay,
She's got a great point.
right,
But
so that's, but again, that goes back to communication, because what if their supervisor, let's forget the engineer, if their supervisor had 20 years' experience, you might wanna pay him the 55. That's again, that communication thing. So, who's their candidate, what have they got to bring, is that good with you guys? That, I see that, totally, so,
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to create line item to amend 2021-00 salary ordinance for the highway engineer. Stipend pay from the state, you wanna put that in there, or?
yes, I will put that state.
Lindy motioned, Eric seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
5-1. And then you'll have to come back whenever,
If there's no way in the personnel lines to just do an auditor transfer for the benefits, and we'll have, you're just going to advertise. right?
Okay. just making sure.
And you can do that in-house, right? I mean, if it's in their budget,
If there,
you don't have to go out of it.
if there are funds in another line to transfer, we can transfer, but if not, we'll have to advertise and do an additional, if there is.
I'll bet you could find it.
Yeah.
Work your magic.
Oh, gosh, I think our rabbits died, then we tried pulling
The
a
wand
hat.
is broken.
Yeah. Your sparkles, you don't have as many sparkles.
Well, it's better to know it now than prove it and next month come in and go, you didn't tell me that part.
Right.
Yeah. It's Donnie's fault.
It is.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Oh my God, here comes the judge.
Have him get stuff done. Stay on him.
Don't
Oh,
start
George.
it.
Just throw him out as being a public nuisance.
We tried, he wouldn't go.
There's Judge Roy Bean right there.
Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes?
Before we do that, I have a couple of questions about, the CARES Act that we gave out to, that you guys, the previous board gave out to EMS. We're kind of hearing that there may be another round of that coming in, so I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around how so much money got given to the EMS and why. And I'm just wondering if you guys can explain that to me, because I'm having a really hard time with the amount of money that he has spent coming out of the general fund, and why couldn't that have gone other places? And so I'm just curious as to what.
Well, Raymond's on that board, I think he'd be a good man. to
I can't
explain it.
answer that question.
Because they did all the work in that, and their hours were the ones tallied and totaled to get us that money
The
from the grants.
340,000,
They-
but then another 340,000 was given. They got a total of 774,000. So why was that additional 340 given?
Because it was all their hours and,
No.
What the payroll assistance requests
We can
I took
figure
in
that
3 or
out
4
for you. I can
departments
sit here today and tell
to
you.
get the money, basically the state just got CARES fatigue. And they didn't want a nickel and dime, $50, $100, make up a project, send $10,000 request up. Because they had 92 counties and millions of dollars, because if Scott County got
I didn't give it
775, you can
all
only
one time
imagine what
anyway.
Marion or somebody
but that's
got.
how it happened.
So then October, much to mine and Teresa's disbelief initially. They said, just send up payroll from any of your public safety, your dispatch, your jail, your whoever, health department, and we'll, if you've got enough payroll expenditures from, what'd they say, Teresa, was it May 1st down or something like that?
Yes.
Send that up, and as long as you've got enough to cover the amount that your county was allotted, we'll start sending you, your reimbursements.
So their payroll was still within budget, so the EMS did not pay out any more in payroll than what was budgeted, correct? They were coming to give you guys, so this was a reimbursement, not for additional monies that they had to spend. This was for what was in their budget. So my question is, that additional money then, that was given to them, and the things that were purchased, why was all of that money given to them if it came out of the general fund? Why couldn't it have gone to some other places? And I know they needed equipment, Raymond, I know, I'm not taking that away from anybody. But it's the way that it was, the money spent, it's given, but if we're gonna have another windfall like this, possibly, there is no way that, I don't see how we can do that without, I need to understand where that money went to and how it was spent. Because that's a lot of money, that's
The
$774,000.
printouts he gave the other day
I know,
accounted
and that,
for.
yes, I know, and I have a lot of questions about that. So, and it's not, and Raymond, I know you're laughing and
No,
it's
I'm
not.
I'm not laughing.
It is not in any way, shape, or form.
You're making serious thoughts here, and,
Oh, I understand that, but what I'm asking.
why do you say I'm laughing? I'm not laughing, I'm listening.
I'm sorry, it looked like you were laughing. My question is, are his runs dictating the equipment that he's buying? I have questions about some of the Lucas devices that he purchased. I have questions about the type of AEDs that he purchased. That's what my question is, and why all $774,000 ended up going to EMS.
Have you talked to him?
I have tried to, yes, and I've done my
And
research,
you didn't get any?
and I have done my research, yes.
Well, the health department got 30-some, and Jill got, for the highway,
Right.
was it 27?
Yeah.
27-ish. So, I mean, most of it did get shifted to the EMS, but there were a couple exceptions to that.
Right.
Well, I can only speak for me, I can speak for the rest of the board. Besides what Tammy is telling you, I thought that EMS was going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
We want our community to have the very best that they can have. If you're the one that's sick, if they're coming after, and they haven't got the right equipment or updated equipment, when they get to you and you lose your life, your family is gonna be very upset because we didn't help them supply.
I understand.
But let me finish just a second. So this money that once, this big bank account that they used to have, it some way or another went way down here.
Right.
They didn't have no money to operate off of. And I was one that didn't want to go back on the tax roll.
Right.
Okay, in order for them not to go back on the tax roll, we had to do certain things. And we just felt after we heard everything from him that we heard, I was pretty much satisfied. But I told him personally, now you settle it, now you've got to show us what you're talking about. And there was no more money promised to him after that.
And I understand that. My thing is that the equipment that he has purchased, they needed new ambulances, absolutely. Did they need the Cadillac of the ambulances? What are the runs dictating? What type of runs, his runs numbers need to dictate the type of equipment that he get. He bought 10 Lucas devices for every fire department. There's 2 fire departments that don't.
That was a grant, I believe.
That don't run.
Yeah.
Okay, there's two fire departments that don't run medical. How many ambulances is he running now?
Yeah,
3?
yeah, see, I don't know the business.
Right.
I'll.
And that's my thing. It's the only department in the county that is a business and it needs to be run as a business. And I'm just questioning the type of, did he do his research before he went out and bought the Cadillacs of these of these things.
And that's
you
why I'm
know.
trusting him,
And-
because I don't know.
And, you know, did he get bids?
And
Did
that,
he get-
and those
did
are
he
the
get-
things that I think you really need to address with the commissioners, because the commissioners are over him.
Right,
This board allocates the money.
right, and so my
And,
question to
yeah.
the board then was, I don't understand the thought process to give all of that money to EMS if we are going to possibly have another round, which we discussed the other day. It's a possibility, there might be more money. So if we set a precedent, right, you talked about setting a precedent, if we set a precedent, I wasn't here, so I need to understand why all that money was allocated.
Well, we gave the first 300 and some thousand.
Mhm.
And then, after that, he came back and had to buy all the monitors, because the last monitor they had pooped out. Well, Tyler, before, had came to us and told us that the monitors that we were using were obsolete. They worked sometimes, they worked not, they were not good for us. So then he came in the November 10th meeting
Mhm.
and lost a monitor this weekend, company going to let them borrow one until we can purchase one. They needed 340,000, and he was getting them at the trade-in value. They were gonna trade the old ones in, so he got a discount on them. So we gave them 340,000 to help assure the fund, so they wouldn't go in the red.
So and I know that they needed the monitors, but, I mean,
I didn't, the whole process with the CARES money, I was very weary of spending all of it, like you said. And if we're gonna have another round of COVID, I wanted to keep some in the pot, but this was,
If
That's
we
what was
have
done.
another round, we'll have the opportunity to spread it like ever you want.
Well, and if
But
I
if you
remember
want
correctly,
an
didn't they
accountant,
rebuild one
then
of
we
the
have to-
ambulances or redo one of the ambulances that they currently had, or that they had?
a
They
remount.
did, I'm sorry,
yeah, a remount.
I've been putting my feet on that too.
a remount or something? Did they not use one that they had and just fixed it up? Seems like I remember something to that effect.
I believe so. I think that there are, or the remount's getting delivered soon, or it has been remounted. But
To
again,
try to
that's,
keep
that's,
that
that's,
cost down. I'm just saying, I think, seems like I read that, heard that. I'm under that understanding that one of the ambulances was tried to be fixed so that it was usable.
I guess what I'm saying is instead of giving him the 774,000, why wasn't, because basically you gave him a blank check. That was in general fund. We gave them a blank check that was in general fund that could have done a lot of good elsewhere if he would have made maybe some better decisions about the type of equipment he bought and made the dollars stretch more. And to me, before coming onto this board, being a citizen, it's like we gave him carte blanche to just purchase whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, however he wanted. And that's my question, that's my issue. And so I just needed to bring that to the forefront, that I just don't understand how, as a council, you can just give a blank check.
I wanted to update him to a point that he didn't have to come back to this table, not go on the tax roll, and not come back to this table. I think that it declined so much that it took almost everything. Yeah, we could got lesser equipment, we could have got maybe not
I'm
as.
not saying lesser equipment, I'm saying equipment that dictated what our county needed. Some of the ambulances that he's gotten from the research that I've done, those are ambulances and equipment that maybe, inner city or bigger cities, what are his runs dictating the equipment needed? Instead of another ambulance, if he does a lot of hospice runs, why didn't we get a transport van instead of a third? And so those are my questions.
And
Could
see,
we have
and you may know
There was a
something
grant
like
that paid for the third one to be a helper, because none of the flights that come in, if they were to have to land, none of them were taken care of. So that was paid for by, it's somewhere in my notes, by a grant. So that's why it's all bells and whistles to the hilt. Because if needed, it's gonna be like I don't wanna say a first aid, but it's gonna be a.
Okay, so that proves my point then. If he's had a grant to pay for the ambulance, then the 774, part of that didn't go to that ambulance. The 774 didn't go towards those Lucas machines. So why did he need all of that money? Is my thing.
I think he presented a lot of information that had FEMA inserted into it. I think that's what Rachel's really talking about, is because he has expectations of getting grant monies back off what expenditures you have, because with FEMA, most of the time you have to spend it to get anything back. But again, FEMA is one of those things where it could take 2 years for us to get reimbursed. What she's talking about, kind of coupled and mixed in with that, is that we have no obstetrics unit in the county, period, at the hospital or anything. He had a real life scenario that I remember him talking about at these board meetings, to where his goal for having at least one of those, I'll call it fully tricked out ambulances, is to have a rolling ICU unit, because we do not have intensive care in this county. And he had a very, very critical multiple transfusion patient that was an obstetric patient as well. And that if he can maintain this status, he is going to have at least one that creates more billing revenue, because it becomes an intensive care unit that is basically portable across the county. So I think that's one of the
So then our runs will
ambulances.
pay for it.
I'm sorry, what?
Then our runs will pay for it. We can take more
Right.
severe and,
So I think that was the reasoning. I can't attest to, I don't purchase ambulance equipment, so I don't know, but that was one of the units that he was having.
can you get him in at the next meeting? Put him on and I'll call him.
Well,
So-
and didn't,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
know
if
it
I'm
seems
on
like a lot of
mute
money,
or
but
not.
we needed a
Wasn't
lot
some
out
of that for
there.
training as
No, I
well? Did
understand.
some of that
I
money
do
go for
understand.
training
And that
too,
was the best
for
place
some
to
of our
do it.
EMTs and paramedics on their training?
Did not
Seems
need
like
the
I remember
equipment.
something
They
to that
absolutely
effect as
did.
well.
But is what he bought appropriate for what our runs in this county needed, is my question.
Well, if my grandma had to go in one, I would want it to be
The best.
ready for her.
And us
Any-
not
any-
knowing, we just
anything that she
relied-
needs.
We just listened to him, I mean, he was the
Well,
department head.
don't forget, now you just listen to him, that's what happened.
Well, Eric, you do
Drank the
something, you
Kool-Aid.
do things
Wait a minute,
different too.
I'm
But
not
what-
running him down the road, I'm trying to wrap my head around oh,
Yep.
yes.
I got a question as a citizen. I've been following some of this EMS and the funds from the county. Now, is there a list on this, all the accountability of the money, where it was spent?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do we know for sure that it's not supposed to be spent in other departments versus that needs it other than just EMS? Was that all researched?
It went in, the CARES money went into general fund, and then the council deemed it to go.
So is that public? Is that public, what the money was spent for?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted a copy of that, please. And also, I mean, you know, as a citizen, I've lived here, born and raised in Scott County. All the decal on those ambulances, to me, it don't even look like an ambulance. It looks to me like something from Bass Pro or something. Who was over that on distinguishing what was labeled on the ambulances? Did that come through EMS? Did you guys?
That was all through EMS and his director, or the director.
And the Veterans Affairs, one was done for the veterans, one was done for recognition of people in the
Commissioners
county.
approved that.
Yes.
Because to me, I've met them on the road, to me, it don't look like an ambulance. Versus what
All
we
of
did have
that,
before.
all of
on the
that is
ambulance.
approved by the commissioners.
So when he does spend the money, then whatever he does, like in your perspective, like if he was gonna buy these ambulances, nobody else researched it, there wasn't nobody that reviewed it before he actually purchased all this equipment?
The commissioners,
He did the research, we approved it.
exactly.
So they were only going what he researched, nobody checked on what he did, correct?
That's why we hired him to run the place.
There's a process.
Yeah.
And
Don't
he's the
forget-
one that leads that.
Correct,
And
but
it
I'm
takes
just
it to
saying if the
commission.
money's was, I see on her view too, if, say that we didn't actually need the things he supplied for our county, for what we first on our rent.
We needed everything that
That's
he,
not accurate.
no,
I
he
mean,
needed
How do we know we don't
everything-
need it?
He
That's what I'm
needed
saying,
everything,
for what
I'm
our
sorry,
county-
I'm sorry, we needed everything that he purchased. Everything that he purchased for the equipment and for his workers absolutely was needed, 100%. My question is, did we need to buy the Cadillac when maybe
Could
the,
have used a Lincoln or something.
right, that is my question, but that's the commissioners to approve. My question for the board, or for the council was, what was the thought process to give the whole 774,000? And that's where I was going with that.
That
And
was-
also,
that was
too,
stuff. It
I got one more
backed
thing.
off with the health
Oh,
department,
well,
yeah.
yes, I'm sorry,
That- yeah.
backed off with, so the total wasn't 7774, it was minus
710.
710, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I have one more thing
I
also,
apologize.
doing this COVID thing, I know I have some friends and family that's the EMS workers, even in different counties. Was there anything proposed to give these people any kind of bonuses for what they went through with the COVID money? Just as a bonus? Did anybody ever look at that for the workers?
I don't know. Who are you? What's your
Previous administration.
Pardon me?
asked for it.
Who are you?
I'm Marcella Campbell, I'm a long-life citizen here in the county.
Well,
Nobody approved any of
these masks, you can't tell. And,
Right.
and so you're
I'm just
who?
saying, you know, that might be a good thing also when they was looking for COVID money. I don't pay anything extra because I know they work long hours, they risk their lives, you know, even their jobs, you know. Why not give them a cent, but maybe just a bonus?
Well, Ms. Campbell, it was before both the boards, because they did entertain, and our human resources agent sent down general information when we thought the pandemic was gonna be a 2-week deal and over, you know, so they sent down language that had to do with comp time and had nothing mentioned for hazard duty pay, that kind of term came up later. And
we didn't know how long it would go.
neither board could get on the same page about any additional compensations for people who were exposed during the pandemic or are exposed to this day, because obviously the pandemic ended up not being the green mist that as soon as one person walked in, that everybody in the room was infected with. Okay, so once that educational aspect got determined, it just kind of died off because everybody came back to work. In 3.5 weeks, we were all back to pretty much normal. And then with the exception of closing the courthouse down to appointment only, we still are conducting business like normal. We start doing a little more email, a little more Dropbox, whatnot, you know, with payments and things. But both boards basically just did not get on the same page, and no additional compensations were given to anybody who's exposed to bloodborne pathogens. Sheriff's deputies, jailers, I mean, we have people spit on and everything else over in the jail. I mean, there's all kinds of people who are exposed just besides EMS. So, but
Right.
nothing
Right.
additional.
But money can be used
Yes,
for that.
but nothing, the boards couldn't get on the same page, so everybody got a big nothing. They just got paid like
For
regular.
doing their job.
And because they were doing their job, and we all had to deal with pandemics to a certain extent. But again, not, some others to different degrees. But no, they could not come on. So it was a county decision, basically, to not do anything because they fell silent on it. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I.
Anyone else?
That was mine. Sorry, I just
I'm good.
trying to wrap my head around it.
And we do not know, we haven't heard anything, have we, Teresa? You haven't seen anything about any new CARES money or CARES, because I think the stimulus package just being signed into, you know, we haven't heard about any allocations. I've read stuff where they're gonna not support local governments through this new stimulus package, which means we might not even have anything to talk about at the end of the day. Or if they come down with one proposal through out there, it was just gonna be this amount that, they were left scratching their heads going, how could we even start to get this much money? So, that's yet to be seen, but, you know, it's,
I hope everything pays off in the long run, because we've got them where they need to be. And I understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I mean,
Does it
again,
have to be the best? I don't know.
Again, I'm not saying that they
Let's
did not
adjourn the
need,
meeting and then we
If
can.
you're
continue
coming after me.
after.
We're
They
gonna do
did
consideration
best.
of minutes.
well,
Get
but
my minutes
again,
approved.
you know, we're
Oh,
we're
yeah,
on this
we
board to
gotta
be
do that.
good stewards of the taxpayers'
Minutes,
money,
right.
so is buying the, you know, the Ferrari of the ambulance appropriate for our tax
He
dollars?
went to the dealership,
and
and if
that's
we,
my-
We don't get into,
you need to talk to him. He'll give you all the details.
we don't get into telling the departments what to buy. We don't tell the highway department what kind of dump trucks to buy.
But we facilitated this, the council facilitated this by giving him carte blanche with the money, is what my point is right now.
Well, your characterization of that's not quite accurate, but let's,
No, I think it is.
well, okay, we can agree to disagree.
Okay, consideration of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, Raymond, motion to approve. Second? I'll
and
second.
that's December 29th and January 12th, correct?
Yes.
Did you second that?
Yep.
Yes.
December 29th and January 12th. Minutes. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Minutes? You're not gonna okay the minutes?
No, I don't want to have my name on any of that CARES Act stuff, that's outrageous.
The
Anything-
CARES- the
anything
CARES-
has to-
No, the minutes.
The
I- the minutes-
From the meetings
The minutes
before.
say, the minutes say that there was some kind of a computer glitch that caused the county council to give that guy $710,000.
It was,
I'm not signing my name on that.
we did
A
it,
No,
glitch.
that's not what
What
that
are you
says.
talking about, Eric?
Read the minutes.
There's a
Are the
glitch.
minutes correct?
where we did the
I wasn't
budget,
here.
Well,
and the budget wasn't on there
Well,
because
I'm
they
not gonna
hadn't,
sign them because I
Yeah,
don't want
the
my name
CARES Act
attached
money
to
was
it.
still
Wasn't there at the
floating,
meeting.
so we just transferred it
Spending
from,
that money that way was outrageous.
from there
We
to
don't
the
even have to
EMS.
approve. We weren't
The
here.
question
got it
before
right.
you is, are the
But the
minutes
January
correct?
12th one you were.
I don't know.
Okay, let's
Well, then
do
don't-
December 29th. Okay.
Let's do.
Raymond, redo your motion. You motion to approve the December 29th minutes.
You wanna do them separate?
Yep, we're gonna have to now.
Okay, motion to approve the 29th.
Okay, I second. All in favor?
They weren't there.
Yeah, we weren't here, so we.
I mean, you can still,
Yeah,
they
if
can
you
still
want.
approve
You can
them.
still-
I wasn't here, so I can't
Right.
say if they're right or not is what we're saying. I
So
can't.
what you do is you abstain,
Right, oh, thank you.
Okay, and all nay.
I
and
couldn't,
you abstain.
I couldn't think of
Okay.
the word.
I'll vote no.
Okay.
So we'll do,
I've never.
3 and
abstained in my
3.
life. I'm not going to.
And then Diane, she didn't, and is she gonna be?
Diane, are you
abstaining?
still on there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm so confused.
Oh,
What we're doing. I know we're trying to prove this, and I agree with what Lindy is saying about the amount, and we needed to be more, but I
We're,
guess.
we're just okaying minutes.
Are we just proving the minutes that that's what was done in the meeting?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Am I correct on
Yes.
that? I just want to make sure I'm understanding what we're doing.
Yes.
So the meeting minutes are correct,
Yep.
that's what was discussed.
Yes.
And that's what was, whether it's
Whether you like it or not, that's
agree
what
or
was
whatever
done.
with what happened, the meeting
Yeah.
minutes are correct.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Yes.
all we're
So
doing.
1, 2, 3, that's 4.
So are you a yay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not
4-3.
saying
Abstaining?
what happened was right,
Or
I'm
4-2.
saying the minutes are
Are you
correct.
abstaining or objecting?
What was
I'm
what's
objecting.
being
I don't wanna,
reported
I
and
don't
that's
wanna
the
have
minutes
a,
are
an
correct.
abstaining on my record, because I never.
Does
had
that make
abstained.
sense?
Yes.
I'm either for it or against it.
Okay, so we had 4
And 2.
approving, 1 abstaining, and 1 objecting. Okay,
I think that's the same as a no.
kind of, yes.
2 against. So
Well, no, it's a side
And then January the 12th,
in my hand.
okay.
Okay, who wants to motion
Motion?
the January 12th minutes?
I'll
Is
make
that
a
right?
motion.
Donnie.
Yeah, the water.
I'll second. Let's go. All in favor of the January 12th minutes?
6-0. Diane?
Diane, are you good with those?
Yes.
All right, 6-0. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Any other discussion?
So moved.
All right, Raymond.
Now.
I'll
Who's
second.
the second,
What'd you
Rachel?
say?
Don't, I said, don't run
Oh.
off.
Okay, let me.
You do.
All right, Diane, that's all of the meeting.